Here's a React checkout component. And it has 4 feature flags controlling things like an experimental layout and the tax rate. And it seems like everything is working fine with it. It's rendering perfectly, but actually it's totally broken. And I'm going to show you in this video why that's the case and how it could have been prevented with type-safe feature flags in React. Quick tour of what we're working with here. So I have this checkout modal code. I am bringing in a GrowthBook with this hook here and setting up 4 different feature flags. So I have a feature flag here for is experimental, which controls this beta layout here. You can see it's enabled with this banner. I also have a headline feature flag that controls this complete payment text. And that is just right for doing some A/B testing in the future. I also have the tax rate here, which is controlling the value for the taxation, and that could be changed based on the user's location, for instance. And then finally, the payment methods are controlled by this payment methods flag, and that here it just shows credit card, but it could be enabled to show different values as well. There are 4 different types of flags here, and the problem really is that TypeScript has no idea if these are the right flag names or the right flag values. Let's see how we can change that. So GrowthBook provides a CLI tool that you can use to generate these types. I want to show you an even easier way here in Cursor. You can actually use GrowthBook's MCP server to generate your flag types. And I'm going to put that in here in the chat, and it knows I want to run these tool with the MCP server. And this is going to do 2 things. First, it is going to generate those flag types. They'll create a new file in this project that has all the flag types in it. And then secondly, what it's going to do is it's going to add that script to my package.json file so that I can rerun this flag type generation at any point in the future if, for instance, I change the value of a flag to a different type, or if I add a new flag in GrowthBook, it will regenerate it so I'm always up to date. And so let's see what it did here. So we can first check out this new file it created. So this is appfeatures.ts, and this has all the flags I've created in GrowthBook with their associated types. So that's pretty cool. We'll see how to use this in a second. And then also I can bring up package.json, and it has the new script here, generate flag types, which I could run at any time to get new flag type definitions. So I am all set up here. I'll click a little keep, and we can move on to the next step of how we actually then use these types in our code. Back in my component code, I can now import in those new types that were just generated. So you can see I have this line here that's commented out. Let me comment it in. And so what I am doing is importing those the feature flag types from that new file we just generated with the MCP server. And now that I've imported those types, I can supply them to this useGrowthBook hook and tell the SDK all about my flag types so it knows how to type check them. So I'm going to go here and put in app features. And you can see as soon as I tell the SDK about my type definitions, I get a whole bunch of errors in my code telling me that actually all these feature flag names have problems. So I can come down here and see that this experimental flag name is wrong. That actual flag does not exist in GrowthBook, and I'm mistaken here. So one of the beautiful things about now having all of my feature flag definitions is I can come in here and get a great autocomplete experience where all of my flags are listed and I can search for them. So I know that this one has something to do with layout. I have 2 flags related to layout. I know that it's this checkout.experimental layout. Now that name no longer has an error, but we get another one. We can see that we're giving false here as a fallback value, but that's wrong because it should actually, well, we can hover over it and see that it needs to be a Boolean, not a string. And when I change this, keep an eye on the actual checkout modal. because you'll see that it changes as well with the proper value. All right, so now the experimental layout is no longer enabled. You see that that beta banner is down, and that's because the default value for this flag is false. But because we are passing a string, it was interpreting that as true, as a truthy value, and we actually had the wrong thing showing there. With the features being properly typed, now that's cleared up. Let's go through these other ones and quickly clean them up as well. So I can go here. I can see headline is the one that I want. Let me save that. I'll come down here to shipping tax. Let's see, shipping tax. All right, we're all set there. And then here's another one where you want to keep an eye on the checkout modal to see how this changes. So this is something with payment methods. There we go. Let me save that. And as you can see now, it's actually bringing in the true default value from the feature flag. And we get not only credit card, but you can pay with Bitcoin too. It's bringing in the real live values. And so all of our feature flags have now been fixed and are actually working properly because of those types that were generated. Let me show you one other trick. So here we already had our default values all defined, but how do we know that these match what are the default values in GrowthBook? So we can do a little something with the MCP server to help confirm that. I'm going to open up a new chat, come down here, bring those lines of code into the chat and say, do these fallback values match the default values for these flags in GrowthBook? And so what the agent is going to do is going to run the MCP server and get the feature flags for each of these features to find out what the proper default values are. So it's going to run this 4 times to get those 4 different flags. All right, the results are back, and it tells me that everything matches except for the payment methods, which actually had that Bitcoin in there by default. And now it's even offered to make that change to my code. So this is a really nice way to make sure that your default values are aligning as you expect. And it took hardly any effort at all. Here's what we accomplished. We generated a TypeScript definition for all of our feature flags in our project. And we were able to use that TypeScript definition with GrowthBook's SDK to ensure that we always got type-safe feature flags, as well as some other nice bonuses like autocomplete. And we were also able to use the MCP server to bring in or make sure that all of our default values matched. We have great documentation on all of this. I have some links below for that, as well as a Slack community where you can come if you want to learn more about using feature flags with React or any other kind of experimentation related question.